Alright guys, what's up? It's your boy Bando back in the garage again. So today we're going to look at my KLR 650. Notice I'm having some type of vacuum leak going on here. So when I was inside the bike doing my upgrade stuff for my dyno jet kit, I noticed the choke nut was kind of cracked since for some reason Kawasaki thought it'd be a great idea to put a plastic choke nut to hold that plunger in place. So what I did was I went online, and these guys from Stead Engineering, they're out of Kansas City, Missouri, they make a replacement nut that's a brass nut that's going to go in place of that choke nut that's on the bike already. And I wanted to see if I could, I know it seems like it has a vacuum leak because it's skipping. The bike will idle and it'll fluctuate just a slight hair up and down. So I'm going to run a propane test and see if I am getting any suction anywhere that it's not supposed to be, and see if the choke nut's at fault. But first things first, taking all this stuff off. So we're going to take off the fairings on the side here, the seat, the side panels here to get to the tank, and then we'll unbolt the tank and lift it off as soon as the bike heats up. And the choke nut is actually located right over here on the other side of this throttle body. It's on this side of the bike here. So we're gonna get in there and see what we can do to fix the problem. Hopefully that is the problem and why my bike is idling a little erratically. So give me a couple minutes and I'll be back. Alright, so after a little tinkering, we're at this point. So all I did was seat, two side panels, and the two side panels up in the front. All I have to do now is just unbolt the tank, but I'm going to warm the bike up because I want to check for a vacuum leak. So I'm going to warm the bike up with the gas tank on. Then I'm going to unbolt the two bolts here at the tank, take that fuel or that vent line off, and then the two lines for the vacuum and the fuel right here, the fuel line and the vacuum line that's here behind the carb. So you want to remove those, and then we're going to test for a vacuum leak for real. I just want to get the bike to operating temperature, so I'm going to let it warm up for about 5 or 10 minutes until the temperature goes up, and then we'll go ahead and test it. Also, this is the new replacement choke nut, so it's got the slide-on end here, then the threaded end that threads into the carburetor. There is a set of instructions in there that's useful, so you want to read those before you put this in. But we'll show you how to put it in once I get this thing warmed up and I check for a vacuum leak. Alright, as I'm warming the bike up, I just wanted to show you guys the symptoms, what's going on here. So if you look at your tach, kind of see how the idle's going back and forth a little bit. It should be at a steady RPM. It should be going back and forth. Trying to flex it. You could also, sometimes earlier, just before I started the video, like right there, you could hear it miss. It's like almost like it's gonna die. Now that could be two things. It could be either a lean fuel air condition. So I might have to adjust the idle screw out a little bit, which is that guy right there that I put in, a custom one to adjust the height of it. Or it could be a vacuum leak. So I want to rule out the vacuum leak first and see if that's a problem, because it was happening before I put the dyno jet kit in the first place. So we're just going to wait for this temp to get to about midway, and then we're going to cut the bike, and then we're going to put up an external fuel tank source so we can get access to inside the carburetor underneath the bike so we can test for a vacuum leak. So let's see what we got. Alright guys, so I may have found part of the problem. Right here. See, there's no vacuum cap on this top piece, which I swore I put that cap on there when I got my kit. I'm like 99% sure I put that cap on there, but apparently either it vibrated off the carb and I don't know what happened to it. It didn't fall anywhere in the engine or something like that. I'm like 90% sure that I had put that cap on there, but that cap is now missing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to steal the one that I got off my Kawasaki 454 LTD and try to stick that one in its place of that, and that easily could be where the vacuum leak is happening from. Again, I don't know how it popped off. I did notice it was a little long, so that could have been the reason why it came off. But we're going to put this one on there instead, and then we'll test for a vacuum leak anyway. Okay, guys, so here's what I got going on. I got this water bottle full of a little bit of gasoline, so it keeps the bike running. Now, I'm going to hold this while the bike is obviously running, because I don't want it rusting against the engine or anything. So, you have your standard propane torch here. So pretty much what you do is you turn the torch on, but you don't ignite it. You just leave the propane hissing out of it. And you want to take it and go, obviously I have this, I'm going to cap this off here too with my finger. But I'm going to follow this around this carburetor and see if I have any leaks. And what will happen is the idle will spike up. You know, you'll notice it'll be like a 500 RPM jump, I think, if it's gonna, because I had it happen on my Ninja 250 as well. It'll spike up pretty high, so we're gonna check that out right now and see what happens. Okay, so good thing is we have no leaks. I just went around and tested everything, but this is what I want to show you is the example of a vacuum leak. If you were to have something going on, this is how the bike would sound. I'm gonna take my can off this vacuum line and I'll put the tank next to it and I'll show you how the RPM will spike up when it sucks the propane in. Notice how the RPM goes up. I take it away. Now it's normal. I go back and I put the propane back to it. You'll see it jump up. That's what you're looking for. And then you turn your tank off when you're done. So that's how to check for a vacuum leak. Now, I guess that's what happened. I guess the cap there popped off. I know I got a kit. I got a cap with the DynoJet kit specifically for that, or the AIS delete kit, because I taken the air pump out of this bike. When I did that, I figured I'd delete it because it's getting more air in the exhaust. So I had and deleted the air system, and then I put the cap in right there, and that cap included a cap for this. So at some point, that must have fell off. It probably wasn't tight enough, and it just rattled off the bike like everything else in a KLR does. It just rattles itself off if you don't super glue it or Loctite it on. But that's good. That means there's no vacuum leak. However, I still want to replace that choke nut. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let the bike cool down so I can actually get in there and work on it, because I don't think I'm going to really have access to it unless I take the whole carburetor and I slide it out sideways, unfortunately, because of where it's located. It's located right here, which is a very inconvenient spot to try to get to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let the bike cool down because it's pretty hot, and I got some other stuff I got to do, like go test this Ninja 250 I've been working on for the last 2 weeks and see if I finally got this thing running right. But I'm glad that it was a simple fix, as that was where the vacuum leak was coming from. So we have to pull this cable out. So there's a nut. Obviously, if you look on the metal version I have right here, you can see it's got a hex head around it. So that's exactly how it is on that particular part. So we're gonna go ahead and pull that out. We're gonna just kind of pull the clamps on the carburetor on the other side, and we'll just unclamp the 2 hose clamps on either side and try to shimmy the carburetor out the other side. I was going to try to get it. I moved the relay here. I was trying to get from it over here, but unfortunately I don't think I can get to it from here. If anything, it's just going to be too hard to try to get my hands in there and work. So I'm going to slide the carburetor out, and then when I come back, we will take off right where I left off here. Okay guys, back at the side of the KLR. Things are looking kind of hectic. As you see, there is the choke right there. You see it's split in half there. So I got to get that sucker out of there, which is going to be kind of a little bit of a pain, but we'll figure it out. But I am able to slide the carburetor out and away, so that's good. So I can actually get to the damn thing here, and we'll see if we can get it out. But I think that's like a 10 mil, I think. It'll unscrew that, and that's how we're going to pull that choke out. Okay, so with a 1/2-inch wrench, we were able to pull this out. And as you can see, the damage here, see that crack? That's not good. Oops, almost lost it there. Yeah, that is not good, and it's all the way, it's in that section. It's only in that section right there, but I still want to fix this, and I don't want to leave it like that. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to replace it with that brass one and see if we can get that in there. And so I got it out actually literally after I stopped the video. So all you have to do is you take the choke here, the plunger, and you slide them sideways. You can see how it's got that slit in that groove there for the hole. and it's right here. So you slide him out, and then out pops the spring here, and then you just slide this right off, and then we'll go ahead and grab the new one, which should be right here. And we're gonna, obviously the threaded side is going to go towards the carburetor, so we're going to slide him over, and then that sheeting there, which I'll move with my hands here, take this rubber sheeting and slide him back up over the top of this to cover it, like that. Then you take your spring. This is probably going to be the hardest part, is you got your spring here, and then you got the choke needle itself, and you want to take them, pull the spring back. This is probably the hardest part, like I said. This might take me a little bit. So you're going to slide them in like that. You kind of have to, like that. There we go. Actually, that wasn't so bad. So there you go. And now what we'll do is we'll stick him back under the frame and then back into the carburetor. Again, you're looking for this hole right here. Just make sure you don't cross thread it, because it is metal on metal, not plastic on metal this time, so you don't want to mess that up. So let me get that back in there and see how it does. All right, so with a little finesse, I ended up getting it in. So what I recommend for you guys, if you're going to install this, slide the sheet back, and then you'll be able to grab it right about at the very end here with a half-inch wrench, because otherwise it's really difficult to get the wrench in here because of the car body being in the way, because you're gonna want to hit it right here with the wrench. So that would be what I did. I just screwed it in about 3 or 4 turns just to make it seat right, slide this boot back over as close as it can get to. Then I just have to reattach that petcock line, and then I'm going to slide the carburetor back in and just see what happens. All right, so a couple cuss words and some force. Got the carburetor back in. Carburetors for me, the worst part is just getting it back in the boots. That's like the hardest part. Hooked up the throttle body again, so my throttle works. Choke cable, I can't see nothing happen, but I'm pulling it and I'm getting resistance and it holds it open. So that means it's working, so we should be good to go. And now I'm just gonna hook up the gas tank and all that. Just ignore these. This is for my underglow lights. I have a wiring harness running down here for that, from the front of the bike down here, so it's just like zip tied up this way. So ignore these, don't worry about them, they're not on your bike. It's a custom wiring harness I made with my buddy. So let's get this back together and see how it works. All right guys, we're done. So we got all the fairings back on, bike starts up. I'm actually also thinking about playing with the idle a bit when it warms up, and then that fuel air screw, I actually had set it to 2.5 turns according to the DynoJet manual, but I cranked it out a half turn more, and so I'm gonna see if that helps with this kind of lean condition. I got some bluing on my pipe here, so that could be causing it to run too lean. So I'm gonna see if that extra fuel helps. But you can see here's the old one. Let's crack that off. Big nasty split. So that's garbage, and we'll see what happens. I'm gonna take her around the block after I warm her up, and we'll see how she does. Well. So here I'm thinking I have a vacuum leak going on, and that's why my bike's dying. Turns out it's not a vacuum leak at all, as I just found this out, you guys, right now. So watch this. I'll turn the bike over, start it up. Yeah, that's a little bit of a problem there. That blue flame right there shouldn't happen. There should be nothing coming out of that. I'm telling you, I'll wrap it up, you can actually see it. That's my problem. Learn something new every day. So it looks like I need an exhaust gasket, I'm assuming, because what's going on is all that extra air is getting sucked out the bottom of the pipe there. That could have been from running too hot, and it could have warped the gasket around the that exhaust manifold right there. So I'll pull the, I should be able to actually get to it. Well, maybe not. I might have to actually pull the side fairing back off. But if I could pull the side fairing back off And because I gotta get to those 2 bolts right there, so I might be able to get it. If I could get those 2 off and slide the pipe forward and undo the mid pipe, I might be able to slide the pipe forward and get another gasket in there. So we'll see. But at least we found that out. So always gotta check both ends. You gotta check the intake side and the exhaust side and see if you got a leak. So that's where I got my leak. At least now I know. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this was a little bit more informative of how to put the choke cable in. And I might shoot some more videos with this guy over here. We're still tooling around with them. Don't worry, I got all the fairings. They're just disassembled right now until I get him finished up. But I think Mel's going to really like this thing once it's going. So next is going to be, I guess, exhaust gasket. So anyway, guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed. And stay tuned for my next video. Until next time, this is Bando, and I'm out. Later.